Hello Pottery Plus and welcome back to the Pottery Plus studio. Awesome to see you. It's been far too long, so I'm thrilled to be back. Today we're going to tackle this wheel throne incense holder. It's a nice simple project, and kind of like our ring holder, it's a similar process. It's just a little bit bigger, but similar in the ways that it's great for a gift. You can personalize it. You can do a million different things with just this simple form. So let me show you how to throw it on the wheel. I'm gonna start with, I think I have a little more than a pound of clay here. And you know, the first part's always the same. We're gonna center it up. Do that in the way that is most comfortable for you. I do have a video about centering, but I don't want to say too much about it here because apparently centering can sometimes be a controversial topic. So we're just gonna center it up and keep it moving today. I'm working with some scraps of porcelain today, so like I'm always kind of saying, like with scraps, they just feel a little bit, you know, it's not like that perfect new out of the bag feeling, so it might take you a minute longer to center, or just, you know, feel like you've gotten it smoothed out. So take your time on that. And we're gonna center this piece low and wide because it's sort of like just a plate with that little knob in the middle to hold the incense stick. And then the reason why you make the plate around it kind of like saucer size is to catch like the ashes. I thought it was really kind of cute. I had not made one of these before, but I got a request to last week. So I've kind of been playing around with the form and thought I'd share it with you. So again, centering like I would center a small plate, low and wide, kind of bring it down and out. And I think that's gonna probably be a pretty good starting point to start shaping this up. Now, let me explain why I brought it out to this size. So this is kind of close to the size of the other one that I was showing you. And so to have it centered out to like that size that I already want, that's going to help me because I'm not going to end up with it too small and then have to try to stretch it throughout the process. So if I need to remove some excess, I can, but I already know now that I'm starting off just from my centering step with the size that I need. So I'm not going to have to, like I said, go back and worry about it later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate out that the little holder part by just pressing down until I feel like I've gone down enough where there'll still be some floor going across the bottom, but it's not going to be bulky down there. And you can always check that with your needle tool. Just kind of poke it down in there and see, oh yeah, that feels good. That feels like about 1/4 of an inch. Might even have a little extra down there to work with. I'm going to take this down a little further just because I feel like I can. And the more I have to work with here, the better, because like same as what I was just saying a second ago, it's you can always get rid of extra, but if you don't have enough, it's kind of like game over. So I've got that isolated out, and I'm just going to start to move this excess out to the edge, because that's going to be kind of like the rim of my plate portion of this. And you guys, like I said a minute ago, this is really a similar process to the ring holder that I've shown on the wheel before, but it's just a little bit bigger, and making that hole in the middle of this, I actually found to be a little bit, not tricky, but like you have to have exactly the right kind of thing to make that hole. And it's basically just any long, very narrow tool. I'm using the bottom of a thin paintbrush, you'll see here in a couple minutes, but that part's really important because it's like, that's sort of what makes it what it is. That's what helps it to hold the stick of incense. So I had to really kind of search around my studio to find something that would work and make the right sized like opening for that. Okay, so again, out here, the steps are similar to a plate. Just gonna kind of be refining that. When I pulled this out, there was some separation between like the material I pulled out and the base. So what I'm doing now is I'm kind of trying to like remarry those two together with just some compression, kind of moving from the top down flaring out that lip a little bit so it doesn't get where it's like curling in like this. But if you wanted that, that would be fine too. I'm just kind of trying to go for a very traditional like saucer shape on this portion. And this is starting to get there. So I think what I would probably tackle next would be the floor, because there's some excess you can see right here that's going to either need to come out here or over here or be removed. So I think what I'll do is, I think I'm going to opt to try and kind of just shave some of that out of there. See if I can do it. Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, I'm not taking a lot. I'm just kind of using the pressure of the rib to sort of like scrape it down a little bit and disperse it out on either side. So it's getting the bottom looking a lot more flush, which is what I want. And you guys, if you hear jingling in the background, I got a puppy. Her name is Birdie. I'll try to throw in a picture of her. She's playing with a toy right now. So if you hear her jingling around, that's what that is. I'll have to see if I can get her on camera pretty soon. So yeah, my floor is looking a lot more flush, not so lumpy bumpy. I don't think it's like done, but it's, you know, we're getting there. So now I'm going to pay a bit of attention to the lip. I am going to pull just a little bit, but like barely at all. I say this, I feel like every video I make, I say this. You could make this as like low profile or as dramatic as you want. I'm just kind of doing a basic simple shape here, just so you get the idea. So there's my lip kind of starting to form, and I do feel like I still have some excess here because when I dug in to do that little pull, you can see it kind of revealed a lot of excess right there. So I'm going to come in one more time, kind of try to sort that. Oh, I got quite a bit on that one. And get that sorted out. And you may have heard me say this before if you've watched our plate video, but I always feel like what makes a plate is the definition between, well, technically this bottom part is called the well and the rim. Now, if you wanted it just to kind of flow in more like a bowl, I think with this project, that's perfectly fine. But if you're wanting kind of that saucer type of style for this bottom part of the incense holder, I think pay attention to there being definition right there between those two walls, essentially, and it'll help it to have more of a plate-like or saucer-like look. And I think I'm actually going to just leave that as is. That doesn't bother me. I mean, I don't know what you guys think about this, but I feel like an incense holder, although it is this part of it is like a plate, it's kind of casual. Like, it doesn't have to be, like, we don't have to be overly technical about it because it's not going to be used for, like, eating and stuff, so I don't know. I like forms where you can feel a little bit more easy because their purpose or their use doesn't have to be so technically like thought out, you know? Because like with a dinner plate, you have to think about someone's experience of actually eating off of it. You have to think about like food safety and can this thing be, you know, handle being washed and all of that. Okay, I'm babbling, but I hope you see what I mean. Like this piece is just going to be kind of, its job is going to be easy. Just hold the incense, catch the ashes. It's not going to necessarily have to go through the dishwasher a bunch of times and that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm going to start working on the actual holder part, and I think that I would like for it to be a bit taller. So I'm just kind of bringing it up, and whatever excess comes with it, I'm just sort of closing that in on itself. Trying to bring more definition down at the base. Because while I don't mind it kind of angling out down there, that was too much for me. I want this to be kind of a little more tall and narrow. Because you guys, you know, a stick of incense is quite thin and tall. So this kind of needs to, in my opinion, well, you know, it has to be tall enough to hold it and it not fall over, but yeah, you just don't want it to look bulky up against that, you know, when the incense is setting in it. Okay, so this is getting there. This is coming along. So I'm going to compress my floor one more time. any type of flat form that we ever do, you always just want to like kind of compress every step of the way to avoid S-cracking. You may have seen that on I think I've talked about it on some of my social media stuff, like why that happens and how compression really helps it. But that's all you really need to know about it, is that if you compress, you can usually avoid it. And let your stuff dry out kind of slowly. Okay, I think that looks good. And you saw there while I was just talking, I guess I'm talkative today. You could see that I was just kind of bringing more definition to that by sort of squeezing it and moving my fingers up. Gonna dry everything out just a little bit and then maybe smooth it with my rib. I put my metal rib over here, friends, and now I don't know where it is. So we'll just have to work with this one. But now I'm just kind of doing like a little refining step, just smoothing things out. That's looking pretty good to me, good enough. Might come in here and straighten this out a bit too. Yeah. Okay, I'm happy with that. All right, now here's the kind of the defining step. And I'm gonna try to do this with my left hand, because if I do it with my right, it's gonna block. But I'm gonna make the hole for a stick of incense to go down into that middle part. So what I've got is a very long, narrow paintbrush. And I'm just gonna get it a bit damp down here with my sponge and bracing my hand. So if you have an extra hand, if you're doing something with one hand, it's always good to like brace yourself with the other. I'm just gonna very slowly and holding it super, super steady. I'm gonna go down and then slowly out. Must have been a little off-centeredness in there. And folks, I went all the way down to the bottom, like all the way down to the bat, because since this opening isn't designed to hold liquid, it's not gonna matter if it goes all the way to the bat, and it's just gonna give you like as much depth as you can possibly get out of it. So that hole's a little off-centered, but you know, it's still gonna work for the purpose that we're making it for. So I'm not gonna let that bother me. And look, when it's still, you wouldn't really even know. So the imperfections are not always something that you need to worry too much about. Sometimes you can just let them be. Okay, so that is the first step of the incense holder. Now, what I think is even more interesting than the throwing part of this project is how we're gonna trim it. And I'm gonna show you that in the next part of the video, is how you can trim this project. Oops, I nicked it a little bit. This project, or any project that has like a high center point that won't lay flush when you turn it over upside down. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining today, and we'll see you there on the next time. Bye, Pottery Plus.